One Piece chapter 1165 is here. Another excellent chapter. This flashback has been chapter after chapter of incredible material. I know I've said it before, but it has so far and beyond surpassed any expectations I had about God Valley. And even though there are so many beats that we already knew or anticipated based off of setup, I have been so emotionally invested in everything that's going on, and all the little side pieces are just adding up to that much more as well. Rock's in his altered state with his fangs and his wings, smiling at them while also weeping, begging them to please kill him. It's gutting. And then these two men, Garp and Roger, looking at each other, standing on opposite sides of where they stand, of what they believe, of what direction that they're following, looking at each other and realizing that they're connected through this link of hearing the voice of all things, we assume, and realizing that they need to protect their men and protect the people on this island by holding him off, while also exhibiting such mercy and such compassion in and actually seeing the suffering of this man and wanting to put him out of his misery as well, that he would not continue to harm people in a way that absolutely he would never choose to do on his own. I mean, he went after his own wife and child. I'm not even sure if he knows if he killed them or not. These two men, completely opposed to one another, essentially called by the voice of all things to stand together and to hold off this man who has been turned against his will. I love this line. His words, his attitude, and his expression, they're all telling different stories. That's so true. I love watching these two together. Roger going after Rocks with his sword, and then once that's deflected, then Garp comes in with the punch, and then is it the next page? No. So then they're both blown back. I love the paneling here in this fight, especially the one where both of the men hit the rock on either side, and then you have rocks split in between them. Oh, it's a great panel. And then you zoom out and you see the piece of God Valley that's already fallen. I think Oda's doing a lot visually with the impact of the fight coupled with the mountain falling, and then the two hitting the mountainside, and then zoom out and see how that's crumbling as we're also watching rocks crumble. As well as, of course, this gives us emphasis on the sky splitting in this fight. I love the visual of both Garp and Roger taking off their jackets at the same time and throwing them aside. Essentially taking off their allegiances and standing side by side for this one mission, agreeing to fight together, to take off the things that separate them and fight together this one time. And then of course you have the visual. I love what Oda did here, the visual of the differing, Garp's in the white jacket, Roger in the black, Garp's in the black shirt, Roger in the white, and then the same for the trousers. And they just, in every way, it shows how they contrast, and yet they peel off some of that and they stand next to each other and say, okay, this thing we do together. Instead, shall we team up for a minute? And alongside all of that visual that Oda was doing, we also see them speaking on their snail phones, speaking to those that are theirs, telling them what to do while they stay back and hold this ground. And they both say, I will be back. And in this, they look so much like their son/grandson. Roger looks so much like Ace. Garp looks so much like Luffy here. And I think that's intentional too, but I'll circle back to that. Back to the choreography. Love the choreography in this chapter. Garp calling Rock's attention to him and then jumping off of the rock, flipping over, giving Roger the opening to land a hit so that Garp can then grab his foot and upset his balance. All the while trying to figure out, is there any way to break this curse? Is there any way to snap Rocks out of whatever it is that's just happened to him? All the while, Kaido and Big Mom are still having their little spat. Big Mom telling him, for the rest of your life, you are going to owe me for this one. And Kaido says, nuh-uh. It was finders keepers, Lin Lin, and you lost. Just watch me. I'm gonna go create a new crew where violence rules all. He's such a little brother. I'll come and collect one day, and I'll be waiting to crush your spirit. I love that promise. I love being able to have all this context of their history that makes me look back on what we got from them in Wano and appreciate it so much more. So Polo Graham shows up and acknowledges that Newgate was the one, Pops was the one that knocked over the mountain. Marco's surname is Polo. These are the kind of gags that I want from this story. This is so stupid and useless, and I love it so much. Also, for absolutely no reason, my ghost girl got a little shout out. Someone who previously had her devil fruit is using her depression ghost as they're trying to get off the island. I love to see it. Now, in this flashback, in this Harold-focused flashback, Rox has been an absolute star. He's been a showstopper. He's exceeded my expectations many times over. But the other star of this flashback has easily been Dragon. Dragon has been the most admirable. He's been the most enjoyable to really get to know, to see his character and what comes down to the core of who he is and how he responds in extreme situations. He's been so inspiring to watch. He's been so surprising and easily one of the characters that I'm the most attached to now in this arc. We've watched him try to obey orders, thinking to himself, surely there has to be a reason for what I'm seeing right now. There has to be something that I'm not understanding. And then as he continues to see the atrocities, he can't just continue to deny reality. He has to stand up and he has to take action, any action that he's able to do. But he's inexperienced, he's young, he's very green, and he's terrified, and he's in way over his head, and so he continues to fail and fail and fail. But rather than being so degraded that he surrenders and says, there's no way to help, the world is too big, the evil is too large, I lose. I might as well just become numb to it all. Instead of responding in defeat, he puts a gun in the face of his superior officer and says, what is happening? Why am I the only one recognizing how disgusting, how despicable this all is? No, what are you people doing? Did you know what we were doing here? Aiding. Did you know what we were aiding here? Put them on our ship right now. We have to rescue them. And if anyone argues against it, I'll execute him on the spot. Dragon. Oh my goodness, will not stop fighting. I mean, at this point, he's already made the choice, something that would take extreme sacrifice from him, acknowledging, I'm gonna be killed for this, my men could be killed for this, but I can't stand still. I have to do something. I have to do what little I can do. And then when even that is taken from him, even when that fails, as far as he's aware, he loses both the kids. Even then, it doesn't matter. And now I need to address my superiors and find out why this has been allowed to happen. I plan on going back and rereading a lot of his old chapters, not because I think that light is going to be shown on, I now understand everything so closely. No, Oda's kept Dragon's character very close to the chest. I don't think he's really revealed that much in the old chapters, though I'll find out when I do the reread, but just because I want to. I mean, I so admire this character now that I just want to go see everything that he's done previous, now understanding more about who he is. Just the fact that he was the founder and leader of the Revolutionary Army already meant that there was strong character there, more than likely. Already meant that he had strong desire to help the weak in some sort of organized, meticulous, and intentional way. But it's all been kept behind the curtain. And now that we see him on the battlefield as someone with no experience, with assumedly no haki, no devil fruit, and still taking a stand in whatever way he can, even as these giants are all around him. I still think about that scene when all of our, Edward or Pops and Kaido and Big Mom and everyone comes thundering past him, and they're all huge, and he's this tiny little guy on the ground looking around, recognizing how massive everything around him is and how little he is. Still, he stands up and says, what is happening here? Man, I just feel like there's so much that we can glean from this character when the world feels too big and the powers that be that make all the decisions feel too big, and this like one puny little man stands up and does what he can. I find him as inspiring as Luffy. And on that same page where we were looking at Dragon, a very lowly ranked Navy soldier doing anything he can in any direction that he can, we also look at Imu still possessing Saturn. and looking horrifying. That island will have never existed. Understood? We already knew that this was going to get Lulisha'd after the manhunt was done. But here it is, just basically overtly there. It will have never existed through the mouthpiece of Imu. Also, I'm pretty sure we have it confirmed that Imu is just what we see. He's not a shadowy figure based off of the dialogue with Roger, or Roger's dialogue toward Garp with the way he described him. It sounded like they saw exactly the same thing that we're seeing. That doesn't mean that there's not more to it. I'm not sure exactly what that would look like if we do get to know a little bit more about Imu during the Void Century flashback. Maybe he once looked different and he's just kind of been warped over time, or maybe this is his devil fruit in effect. We'll just see, but it seems like what we see is what everyone else is seeing too. I do love these two men, again, posed as such opposites and on opposite sides after they fight together, and it's so natural. Despite having never fought together before, despite being against each other for so long, their choreography felt like two people that already knew each other and knew how to anticipate the other's moves and knew how to rely on one another. I absolutely love it, and clearly Roger's seeing that too, where he actually invites him to join the crew. If you're gonna quit the Navy, come join us. Now I say go join your son if you're gonna quit the Navy, but I do love Roger extending a crew invite to Garp after they stood side by side. It's like they became brothers, and so he's like, join my crew. But Garp's response is, don't be an idiot. If I quit, who's going to watch out for the rank and file? Who's going to watch out for the new kids, the new recruits who are being raised up in this system, who are being raised up to do this? Who's going to look out for the kids that are being made to follow orders such as this? Now, it does seem that potentially both Dragon and Garp develop their resolve here on God Valley. We see it very overtly in Dragon. Emotions on his sleeve, absolutely outraged as he should be. And we can see the seeds of what will become the Revolutionary Army being born in his mind and in his heart as he's here. And I think potentially that's what we're seeing in Garp as well. It's been long speculated that Garp is the founder of SWORD. We still don't have that confirmed as far as I'm aware. But if he is the founder of SWORD, then I would say just the same, Oda is showing us the seeds of that being born in his mind and heart here as well, where he looks around him and says, this is the system that these kids are being raised in. This is what people like Dragon were brought in to tranquilize these people for this purpose. These kids, these new recruits are being brought here for this, and very possibly maybe this is where Roger develops his resolve to go look for the One Piece and become the Pirate King. I don't know. I don't really feel like we have a lot of indicators of that here, unless I've just missed something. But up to this point, he has been, you know, the meme, the hard eyes, you know, gag. We haven't seen a lot of ambition out of him, is what I'm saying. We've just seen Shaggy, you're so cute. So it is possible that this is where he decides, okay, well, piracy is going to be the way that I oppose the world government in whatever way, you know, that would look like for him. Again, I don't really think that Oda has fleshed that out, so that's a lot of assumptions for me. I just see him kind of seeming to show that with Dragon and Garp, and it wouldn't surprise me if we find out that it's also the starting point for Roger. So they strategize, they start making up a plan. I knew my voice probably wouldn't last to the end of this video. Anyway, like I said, they do show so much compassion here as well, even though they have to stand up against rocks in order to protect their own men and protect anyone else that would be in the path of this monster, this man-turned monster. But they also recognize his sorrow, and it moves them. I mean, look at Roger. He's brought to tears over seeing rocks in this state. I am too. It's really devastating to see a man who I wouldn't paint as good necessarily, but someone that I loved following, who did have a deep love for his family, who then was forced to turn on them and now is begging to die rather than continue to unleash this on everyone else. It really is. It's so devastating. But they prepare their attacks, and both are reminiscent of those that come after them, of Ace and of Luffy. Roger's attack, he's calling out Ace, and Garp's attack looks so much like the Gatling gun. And I think that's intentional. Like I said earlier in the chapter, the two men are drawn to look very similar to the boys that, you know, that will come after. Ace and Luffy. They're drawn to look so much like them. And here, their attack, their final blow against Rocks, that I assume is what finally takes him down, in that we're still drawn to recall both of these boys. And it seems like parenthood is a really big emphasis for Oda in this flashback. We started off with motherhood, looking at Loki's mother and her rejection of him and how that shaped him, and how that affected him, as well as Ida and how she shaped her son, as well as had an effect on Loki, despite him not really overtly wanting her to, but still visiting, you know, where she lived and accepting the juice box and all of that. So we had an emphasis on motherhood and how greatly that impacted these brothers. And then we also looked at Harold, and him being absent did affect Loki. And now we have Oda bringing back dads, some unnecessarily so, just for a gag, some are actually baked into the story, but also Garp and Dragon. I imagine there's going to be some sort of explanation there, or something that Oda is going to tease out between these two as well. It seems like parenthood potentially has a theme within Elbaf as a whole, but certainly it seems to be an emphasis that Oda is giving us here in this flashback. Anyway, all the analysis aside, this fight was also just really cool. I just really liked watching it. The amazing choreography, also just seeing these two men who were once opposed, laying their cloaks aside and fighting Rocks and taking him down. It was awesome, but it was also so unbelievably sad. There's lots to analyze, but also Bringo Burr. I just really liked the chapter. The Rocks pirates who wreaked havoc on their era cast unmistakable reverberations that shook the very world. Yeah, they did. This flashback has been incredible. I imagine there's more to come. I initially said maybe 2 chapters left, but I was chatting with my patrons and they pointed out to me that there's still quite a bit left to do here. Not only the Garp and Dragon potential fallout, or at least conversation that might be coming from here, but also we need to get back to Loki as a child and the flashback, the scene that he walked in on his father in the throne room when his father was killed. We need to finish Harold's story because that just kind of began and then stopped, but we need to come back to that and see the fallout of Harold after Rocks has been killed here on God Valley, as well as what comes next with the alliance that he was trying to make, or rather the agreement that he was trying to make with the world government. What's the fallout with Elbaf and the protection and peace that he was trying to garner for them? There's still a decent amount. It still technically could be packed into 2 chapters, but it's very likely going to be more, which I'm really not mad about because this flashback is a top 3 flashback for me. It still goes Law and Corazon as my number 1. Kuma is my number 2, and then this is probably my number 3. But I feel like that's going to be an unpopular opinion. I really think that a lot of people are ranking this as their number 1 right now. I'm curious, has it made it up there for you as well, or are there other ones that still are a little bit higher for you? Anyway, please chat with me more about this in the comments. I'm sorry my voice is really strained today. I tried drinking tea and it didn't fix it. Please chat with me more in the comments. I'd love to discuss it more. I'll see you again soon. Bye.